In a news article by the Philippine news agency, Ambassador Romualdez confirmed that the U.S. made a request sometime in October of 2022 for the Philippines to temporarily house the Afghan special immigrant visa applicants. Ambassador Romualdez, you maintained that there was no secret to the U.S. proposal to allow the entry and temporary housing of the nationals from Afghanistan. May we know how the request was made? Was it merely a verbal order, or is there a written request that can be produced for the committee and the public to know?
Well, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to everyone. Yes, there was a formal request that we received at the embassy, and I hope that we will be able to produce that request. But it was also followed up with us through the State Department whether this is possible for us to consider. And so we immediately sent this request to the Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Secretary and I spoke about it briefly, and he said that he was going to have this studied before any action could be taken. But that is what happened when we received this in October last year.
Yes, Secretary Manalo, please. The information, therefore, from Washington, D.C. Embassy is that the DFA actually was in receipt of a formal request. Is that the case?
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yes, in October 22, as relayed by Ambassador Romualdez, we received in a concept note from the U.S. government, a request for the Philippines to allow Afghans formerly employed.
What sort of note, please, Secretary?
Concept note.
Concept note, okay. But it was written, in fact.
Yes, written. And the idea was to allow Afghans formerly employed by the U.S. government and their qualified dependents to temporarily stay in the Philippines to process their SIV applications with the U.S. Embassy in Manila. So we immediately launched informal consultation. We launched consultations with the relevant Philippine agencies in order to have to study the concept note and assess the request.
The ambassador says that thereafter the State Department also reiterated the request directly to the DFA. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. In fact, the Secretary of State directly raised this with me on a few occasions, verbally, and also in a letter, which I'd be happy to provide later. And in fact, President Biden also briefly raised the issue with President Marcos during the visit last May.
This is during the May visit. This is during the May visit, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. When was the DOJ, the DND, the NSA, perhaps we can go through the list, when were you made aware of the request of the U.S.? We call on the DOJ, please. I think there are several representatives. When were you apprised of the request? Anyone from the DOJ was informed at any point in time? The DND? When were you made aware of the request?
Madam Chair, insofar as our records are concerned, when it was in December of 2022.
Was it from the DFA, from Washington, or from the
I
State
believe it was
Department
from the
direct?
DFA, Madam Chair.
From the DFA. Is this a letter?
I will find out, Madam Chair. I would suppose it would have been written merely through meetings, according to Assistant
Sorry?
Secretary Lorenzo. Merely through convening of meetings, Madam Chair.
Meetings.
Yes.
The convening of meetings, are these the June meetings? The earlier June meetings? Or is this an earlier occurrence?
No, Your Honor, it was December of last year.
December
Madam
pa
Chair.
yung meeting?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige. Okay, paano yung DOJ? Kailan ninyo nabalitaan itong request na to?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I stand corrected.
Yes, sorry.
I was reminded by Secretary Manalo that it was October of last year.
As
that
early as
they
October.
convened. Yes, Madam Chair.
Was that a meeting or referral of the said request. Secretary Manalo, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In fact, it was informal. It was an interagency. And in fact, if I could just read off the agencies who were there.
Yes, if you could, thank you.
Yes, the meeting that we had called for was attended by representatives from, of course, the DFA, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Department of Justice, Department of National Defense, and the National Intelligence Coordinating Council, and the Philippine National Police. This was on October 28th.
So it is correct, therefore, does the DOJ corroborate the same, that you were formally called to a meeting by the DFA on October of last year, together with the rest of the agencies?
We confirm, Madam Chair, that there was such a interagency meeting of which the DOJ was a part of.
Thank you. So does NICA have the same in their records, please?
Madam Chair, as far as NICA is concerned, this was discussed formally last 20th ATC conference, 26th of April 2023. And
So as far as NICA was concerned, you were only told in April?
this was discussed 26th April 20th of the ATC, Anti-Terrorism Council.
I'm
NICA was
sorry,
the-
I'm not hearing you properly.
NICA is the secretariat of the Anti-Terrorism Council, and this was formally discussed before the body, chaired by E.S. Bersamin, and that
When?
was 26th of April, 2023.
Only in 2023. Hindi kayo kasama dun sa October and December. Is that correct? Okay, what about the BI? Immigration, please. Kailan kayo nasabihan?
As far as BI is concerned, ma'am, we only attended the June 2, 2023 interagency meeting. It was the first time that our presence was requested.
Right, that's the same as our information. Is there anyone from Muslim Affairs and DepEd? They were similarly called, the ICT, the OST, is that correct? Yes, Attorney Guro. please.
Yes, Madam Chair. As far as the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, we were only informed also of a notice of a meeting. So
Invited.
we were invited to the June 7 meeting.
Okay, anyone from DepEd?
Good
Kailan kayo
afternoon, Madam Chair.
nakapila? Yung
Kami
request
po,
ni
I
Guro.
confirm that we also attended the June 7 meeting, but as far as the records would bear, this came to the attention of the Department of Education back in March 22, 2023, when there was a letter from Director General De Leon asking the Vice President to comment on the subject proposal.
I see. Have you commented?
Yes, ma'am. The Department of Education submitted a comment that was signed by the Vice President last April 20, 2023 to NICA, to Director General De Leon, and I've already also submitted a copy of our comment to the Secretariat for your perusal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm not yet in receipt. I'm sorry I was not able to read it. The NBI, kailan kayo nasabihan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I received a letter last April 20 from the Anti-Terrorism Council where we were required to submit our comments and inputs.
So magkasabay kayo ng NICA?
Yes, ma'am. And then we attended the meeting last June 7
Yeah,
at the Presidential Management Staff.
magkakapareho kayo.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else, PNP? Nasabihan ba kayo kagad?
Yes, ma'am. For the Philippine National Police, we received an email last October 24, 2022.
I see. And I see Mr. Libardo raising his hand there.
Madam Chair, from the National Security Council, Deputy Director General Nestor Jerico, we received a departmental level from the DFA, from Undersecretary for Civilian Security and Consular Affairs, dated 2 November 2022. And we replied their departmental letter as of 15 November 2022, Madam Chair.
Okay. Since you were informed through the DFA, but was any of you furnished a copy of the U.S. request? If so, when did you receive said copy of the U.S. request?